So, Letterboxd. It's an app with some of the most, uh, dare I say, insightful next Plato Socrates level commentary on it. So, for those who don't know what Letterboxd is, I'm gonna go over that in just a sec. If you do know what it is, you've probably been using it for a while now, become addicted. But I have, as of recent, seen a lot more mainstream conversations surrounding Letterboxd, including like the memes on TikTok, just people I've met that are not cinephiles, but they do know what Letterboxd is or they do use it. I've gotten friends and even family into Letterboxd. It's a great way to get to know people through the love of movies, get to see like what their favorites are, whatnot. Um, but if you have been using it, you probably noticed a kind of shift in culture surrounding it, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm also going to be talking about the rise of it, as it does say in this title, and kind of briefly go over what it is for those that don't know. So, for those that don't know, Letterboxd is an app or a site that users can log, rate, and review movies that they've seen, put movies they haven't seen in a watch list. Users can also make lists on the site, putting whatever movies they want in there, rank them, whatnot. So you got things like Martin Scorsese ranked, How I Take Snapchats, and there's also this one, Quentin Tarantino Be Like. Users can also follow each other and comment and like other people's reviews. It's basically like the Instagram for cinephiles, although there are no private messaging features yet. Once that feature does come to Letterboxd, though, you can finally hit up that baddie you've been following for a while with some pickup line Riz god level expertise right there. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, let's go back to the history of Letterboxd. We're going to document its rise. So we're going to go all the way back to 2011. In Auckland, hopefully I'm saying that right, New Zealand, two entrepreneurs, Matthew Buchanan and Carl Von Rando, I'm probably butchered that, they set out to make an app for film lovers to interact with one another on the common interest of loving movies. David Larkin, who is now Letterboxd head of business and strategy in New York, says, "If you want to find people to watch Drive My Car, you don't really care if they are 20 or 60. Although Letterboxd happens to skew young, the common thread is that they want to see the film or happen to like similar films." So basically, they wanted to set out to have a way that now that social media is on the rise, to find like-minded movie lovers. It's a great way to meet other cinephiles. But you're not really going to be getting that because if you find like a big movie like The Godfather and you give it 2.5 stars, you're going to get some kind of like 13-year-old in there being like, "Oh, you don't understand this, you don't understand that," kind of thing. Blah, 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 blah. We'll kind of get into some of that stuff later, starting the culture, but let's move on. In 2012, they were in public beta with only 23 films on the site to log. After how well it was going, it finally went public in 2013. The platform was able to grow a community organically, focusing on building features for the users. After that, their users have grown exponentially as they hit their 100 millionth film watched in 2017 on May 15th. Right before COVID happened, the site had about 1.8 million users. Although once the pandemic had hit, it started to quadruple only from there. So now in 2023, they sit at over 8 million users with no stopping in sight. The massive growth on the app during the pandemic is definitely akin to people having more time to actually watch and log these movies, but it could also be said that social media such as Instagram and especially TikTok had started to mainly give a lot more attention to this app. It became a huge thing to like post your reviews or that you rated freaking Miami Vice by Michael Mann 5 stars on your Instagram story. Although if you did, good for you. That's a good movie. But anyway, it offers such a great way for a lot of us who are just the little guy to kind of have our voices heard, which people say, obviously on the internet can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing because you got a lot of bad voices out there and annoying people. I'll get more into this later, but I think generally with what TikTok and Instagram and whatever, Twitter, they all did for Letterboxd, its rise in popularity was definitely a good thing because now we have more people getting interested in watching movies than just doing it more casually, like just going to a theater maybe once, twice a year, or kind of having just something on in the background as noise. Another reason why Letterboxd is so popular is not only because of all the stuff I just said, for being fun, but it's also very easy to use, especially compared to movie databases like IMDb, which I love IMDb, don't get me wrong. I think it's way more in depth with a lot of the cast and crew information, especially because there's TV shows on there and even video games sometimes. But with IMDb, I think its UI is definitely not as user friendly or fun. Letterboxd definitely has the aspect of the social media and like how easy it is to navigate, and it kind of rewards your brain with some dopamine when you hit that 5-star button and publish your review. During the pandemic, Letterboxd also partnered with studios such as Neon to commemorate the release of when they released the Parasite black and white version. These kind of partnerships ended up giving them a bunch of reviews and early scoops, stuff like that. If you follow Letterboxd like on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, you'll see that they do like exclusive interviews, they do kind of like photo shoots at Sundance, Cannes, whatever. That was the sign that this has really hit it big. I remember when I started, it was back in like mid 2019. I just kind of heard of it from like a subreddit. Once I got on it, I noticed through the pandemic like how quickly numbers were going up. I think like the at the time, obviously I'm not a veteran, but I remember at the time the most watched movie had like 400,000 views or watches or whatever. I think that the most watched movie was Inception, and it had like 400,000 watches, which I think it still is slightly, but now like the most popular movie with like the algorithm, it's kind of weird like what it considers most popular is Parasite, and has over 2 million watches, which you can see just how big the numbers have grown since then. And Letterboxd can also be the start of a lot of inside jokes. Obviously, like Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, they have a lot of big film communities, but Letterboxd, since it kind of has its own community, which is mainly just a lot of film Twitter, it creates some very interesting discourse around the culture, which is some point of discussion for a lot of people in the community. I've gone on like the Letterboxd subreddit and I've seen people complain about users making too many joke reviews. Basically, Letterboxd has a section where you can click on the reviews. It'll say like how many reviews there are, and it'll put the most liked reviews at the top and just go down from there. So you're going to see the most liked ones and just go all the way down to the bottom. With how that works, since most users are a little more casual to an extent than most people, they're going to be just in for like the quicker reviews, just something a little more fun, not looking for in-depth reviews, which is fine. And they're going to follow users who just kind of make joke reviews, as people say, which those users usually get the most amount of followers, which means they get the most amount of likes. Those likes then get pushed to the top, and every time you click on a review, you're generally going to see a ton of jokey, quippy kind of reviews. Although it is to be said that it does vary. A lot of the deeper, more well-written reviews, which what I'll say to that is, first off, there's a block feature for a reason. That is there. You can block people and you don't have to see them again. But if you use that block feature and you follow the people who actually do put out those reviews you want, you're still going to be able to see them really easily. And also, like, if you want those types of reviews, go look at some other site. Go browse r/true film where they talk about how 2001 is underrated or some shit. I don't know. Other things relating to a lot of the culture surrounding it is why I titled this movie The Cult of Letterboxd, is since it does rely on a lot of that kind of dopamine kick of logging a movie, seeing your numbers go up of how many movies you watched and getting a few likes, it does make the movie watching experience kind of feel like you're competing to get the highest numbers, which I'm definitely guilty of that as well. I've done just binge streaks, watch movies like at midnight to try and get to a certain number, or watch some like obscure movie to make my taste seem more, interesting. Obviously, this is not Letterboxd's fault. This is mainly just how people are consuming the app. I think if you do it right, it's definitely for the best. Obviously, there are a lot of memes and posts about Letterboxd users trying to watch, just a bunch of short like movies from like 1880 to get their numbers up. The aspect of watching movies for instant satisfaction of seeing a number go up is kind of ruining the movie watching experience for some people. watching a movie just to say you watched a movie is not what art is for. It's to make you feel. Even if that movie is pretty bad, it still can offer something that I think watching it just to watch it might not put you in the right mindset, but that's just my take on it. In conclusion, though, I do want to say that with all of the kind of negativity surrounding the app and also the positivity, I think that having an app that can bring out strong emotions from either side like that is kind of a good thing. It's like the wild west of movie reviewing apps. So that's the end of the video. I didn't really have much more to say. It's a bit later. You can see like my attire is slightly different and the lighting's a bit different. I had this whole thing planned out where I was gonna like put on like this party hat. I even went to the store and got it, and they had like this, and I'd be like drinking out of it, and I would read a lot of the funny reviews, but I don't think that's necessary at the moment. I feel like people should go out and look for themselves. Join the app, have some fun. But yeah, hopefully you learned a couple things. It's my first time doing a video like this. And yeah, I hope you enjoy and subscribe while you're at it. But yeah. Okay, now we're done.